Hello, this is Postdoc Chronicles, week number 46. And man, last weekend I just saw the Avengers Endgame in their opening weekend, and I've been so hyped for this movie because prior to coming here to South Africa, so I went here last year, May 2018. It was actually the last movie that my girlfriend and I watched, and we actually watched it twice. So because the first time that we watched it, everyone was, the all the IMAX and the 3D movies were full, so we had to watch it in 2D. But as every time there's a movie that I love and then there's a 3D available, I always want to watch it in 3D because I know that at least for now that we don't have the technology to re-experience that 3D in our home. So I didn't want to miss that. So actually, like after we watch it on 2D, like a few days later, my girlfriend and I got to watch it again on the IMAX. So fortunately here, I was able to buy the 3D on the first weekend that it showed. And actually, I was planning to go there on the cinema and then buy the ticket there. But I said to myself that that's probably a bad idea because this is a huge film, and if I go there and then without a ticket beforehand, it's very possible that I'd run out of ticket. And I was right because I checked online the day before I went there. Last Friday, I checked online how many tickets are left. There were three tickets left. One was like in the front, second row towards the center. The other one was like towards the back right, the very last row, and then the other one was like somewhere on the left side at the back. And so the ticket that I got was the second row in front because at least it's somewhere in the center. And yeah, so I've been following the MCU movies ever since the first one, Iron Man. I remember the first time I've seen this movie was I was still in, I believe, fourth year, or yeah, fourth year college. And mom Giselle Alvarez, so our physics teacher, she made a film showing of that film because she said it's kind of physics related with the technology and stuff. So I think during the time we were discussing some energy conservation or something like that. And if you recall, in the first Iron Man film, the plot was heavily reliant on Tony Stark moving from a weapons manufacturer to focusing on the arc reactor. And so yeah, Mom Giselle said, it has something to do with energy conservation. So we watched it. It was a beautiful film. During that time, I was thinking it's like a weird choice of a superhero. During 10 years ago, during that time, when you say Marvel, Iron Man is not one of those, should I say, like top tier characters that everyone wants to be. When I was a kid, like when we talk about Marvel, it was like a Wolverine or Spider-Man or Cyclops. No one wanted to be Iron Man. But yeah, the MCU basically changed everything for Iron Man and everyone else in this present in the MCU universe. So of course, if you haven't watched the movie yet, obviously I'd be talking about some huge spoilers from the Endgame film. So again, I was so excited for this film. And when it came out, I wanted to watch it day one, but yeah, all the tickets ran out, so I had to watch it on the first weekend. But yeah, basically, I did this before watching that film. I did this, huge rewatch of the entire existing MCU films. Of course, I don't do that every MCU movies, but every time there's an Avenger that comes out that sort of unites all these movies, including of course a Civil War, I do that rewatch marathon. And I did this. There's like this calendar in social media that's been circulating, like this is the ordering that you need to watch them if you want to marathon them all the way leading up to Infinity War and then up to Endgame. So I did that, starting with, of course, Captain Marvel. So when I saw that calendar, Captain, it falls exactly on the date when that calendar gave the schedule. Captain Marvel fell on a Saturday. So you'd be thinking, how come you watch Captain Marvel first when it was the latest movie before or prior to Endgame? But of course, that one was arranged chronologically. So chronologically speaking, Captain Marvel was the movie that happened first. Of course, that's not actually entirely correct because chronologically, of course, Captain America, the first Avenger, was the first one. But the reason why Captain Marvel was placed first is so that people could still capture it on the cinema while following that specific calendar. So I did that. I watched Captain Marvel on the cinema. It was a good film. You know, they explained a lot of like Easter eggs, like how Nick Fury got his eye patch and so on. Basically the origin story of Marvel. Our encounters with Tesseract. How come it ended with Nick Fury at the beginning of the first Avenger? So it was very good. And then after that, I watched the whole thing every day. You know, one Marvel movie per day, leading up to the day that I watched the Avengers Endgame, and it was totally worth it, man. Because again, so this will be spoilers territory. Moving into Avengers Endgame, of course, I knew that they would dabble with time travel because that's the only way, you know, to get back all the rest of the Avengers that were gone from the snapping, you know, of Thanos in the Infinity War movie. And yeah, in that Infinity War movie, I've also expected that because I don't read Marvel comics, but I do play a lot of video games featuring Marvel superheroes. So usually fighting games with the Capcom versus Marvel versus Capcom series. But actually, the first time I've heard of Thanos was when I was an instructor in NIP in JFR. So you know, there was this picture about the anime, you know, heroes, and then they would be pitted against, if they were pitted against Marvel superheroes, like there will be no match, you know, because you have these guys like Wolverine, Iron Man, Captain America, and then versus like One Punch Man, Son Goku, and stuff. And again, during that time, I was biased because I'm not really very knowledgeable about the, you know, Marvel DC universe, but growing up, I'm so into anime, so I was like, yeah, of course, like Goku, One Punch Man, they're gonna disseminate all the Marvel and DC. But then there's this guy who's also I think, a huge Marvel DC fan, Hauser. He was the guy who said, "No, that's nonsense. Like in that picture, they did not show Galactus, they did not show Thanos, who killed the half of the universe with a snap of his finger." And then when I heard that, I was like, what the hell? That's OP, man. Like having the entire universe with just the snap of your finger. So right then and there, I got curious. You know, like who are these? You know, super powered. Who are the most powerful guys in the, you know, Marvel universe? So I've heard of these guys like Adam Warlock, Captain Marvel, Galactus, Dormammu, and yeah, Thanos. And so leading into Infinity War, I already had this idea of the, you know, the snapping of Thanos having the entire life in the universe. But yeah, seeing it happen on screen like that, it was still very emotional. And man, so this, going back to the Endgame movie, like I said, I already expected them to dabble with time travel thing, but you know, I didn't really expect that the movie would go to the route of so you have this first introductory, like I think just the first 10 to 15 minutes, they actually killed Thanos right away. You know, Thor went for the head, and I was like, what the heck? So like I was expecting, here I was expecting the entire movie, you know, they will be chasing after Thanos and then avenging their fallen comrades and then finding a way to revive them. But I was shocked that in the first 10 to 15 minutes, Thanos was dead, and then they jumped like 5 years later. I was like, wow, that I did not expect that. But of course, I was still, I was still pining with I was still expecting the time travel element. And of course, here comes Paul Rudd, Ant-Man, you know, being awoken by the rat, which is a very improbable scenario. That's basically, I think that's basically the reason why when like Doctor Strange was looking at all the various combinations of the possibilities that they're gonna win. I think, you know, millions of those combinations comes from the fact that, you know, in one reality the rat went this way, in another reality the rat pressed a wrong combination of both buttons. So I think majority of those endings that Doctor Strange was looking at was, you know, the rat not pressing the right buttons that could take Ant-Man back to reality. Because of course, if you recall, Ant-Man went to the quantum realm during Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then he wasn't taken back because the Dr. Pym and his wife and then Wasp, they got snapped, you know, they got turned into dust. And so yeah, so that was a very pivotal role. And then when Ant-Man came from there, he said, it's been 5 years. I've only been here 5 hours, so maybe we can do something about it. So, who among you know quantum physics? Of course, I have a PhD in physics. So, yeah, when this type of movies talk about those things, it kind of gets awkward because they just throw jargons in there. Like for example, when they said, oh, who's an expert in quantum physics, and then they went to like Tony, and then Tony was like, did you consider EPR and stuff? It was just throwing this random words that has nothing to do entirely with that time travel. But of course, it's not really relevant. No one would. Like even me, I don't usually when I watch movies, I expect beforehand that this is science fiction, and as long as the movie is not trying to sell, it's not trying to assert that it is trying to be realistic, then I'm fine with it. I basically turn off my quantum physics knowledge, and I just go with the film as long as they establish that these are the rules that we're gonna follow, and then they stick with us with those rules. I'm fine. But of course, they went with this model of time travel where the future splits. So it's a common time traveling trope. Like basically, you go back and then you kind of you branch another future instead of affecting the current one. But yeah, it wasn't in terms of that. It wasn't like the best time travel movie I've ever seen. That falls to the movie Predestination. I think that has the best interpretation of time travel I've ever seen. But yeah, anyway, going to that movie, so I knew that they were gonna use that time travel stuff, and the payoff, for rewatching all those previous films is really very good because in the second act, so in the first act, you have these falling heroes trying to get back together and trying to figure out if there's a way that they could do to bring back everyone. But then in the second act, when Ant-Man came back and then he proposed this thing called the time heist. So the plan was to go back to the certain timelines where they encountered the Infinity Stones, and so they went back to these movies like the intro of the Guardians of the Galaxy. They went back to Thor: Dark World. They went back to the very awesome Battle of New York in the Avengers scene. And yeah, it was very a lot of Easter eggs in that scene when they went back all those eras and then trying to get the Infinity Stones. And of course, Act Three, of course, is this very huge battle that I think, yeah, I'm just basically maybe I think I'm gonna rewatch this movie again just to re-experience that last Act Three battle scene, featuring a lot of superheroes, and then you have this Captain America saying Avengers assemble. So it was very good. The build up going there was very good. So you didn't expect. So for example, in the original Infinity War, I was really expecting that Iron Man was gonna die when Thanos got the knife, and then he was knife in there, and then Thanos was about to kill Iron Man, and then what Doctor Strange did was offered the time stone to Thanos because he said, "Hey, in exchange of Iron Man's life, you can have this time stone." And in hindsight, we know why he did that because it turns out that in the Endgame movie, it was actually Iron Man who was gonna kill Thanos and all of his minions in the first place. So that's why Doctor Strange had to do that exchange. Okay, so it was really very good. You don't know who's gonna die. I was expecting Captain America to die when he was like faced with Thanos and this epic hammer wielding that we've seen the possibilities of when you look at the Avengers Age of Ultron, when they were like trying before Ultron came to life. They were like in the stable, everyone's trying to lift the hammer, and then Captain America was like, "Oh, I was about to lift it," and then Thor was like, "Oh, damn it, I think he's worthy." But yeah, in that movie, we were shown that Captain America was really worthy, and he was able to wield the hammer. He fought Thor, but he was still sorry, not Thor. He fought Thanos. He was still no match because this was the younger Thanos. Thanos was in his prime. This huge Titan thing. So Captain America was like being beaten. Thor, they were being thrashed, and then Thanos, summoned all his army and stuff. I was thinking like that was the final moment of Captain America, but then Sam was like, Captain, can you hear me? On your left. And then the most epic part. superheroes came back, and this is the most, for me personally, this is the most amazing thing. And I think I can only I only experience this because I watched the film in South Africa. So the thing is, when everyone was coming back, so the teleporters of Doctor Strange, so you have people from the Guardians of the Galaxy, they came back, Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. But when the people from Wakanda, when Panther came back, and then man, the audience in in South Africa, they're like, oh, and I think I can understand them, because I think if there would be like, so if there would be like a Filipino Avenger that's in that movie, man, I think I would be very proud. So I can feel their passion. When Black Panther came out there, a South African Avenger, they were like, yeah. And then the most epic thing is when Black Panther came out, and then they have this chant, Yi Bombay, which means hold strong. So when he was shouting Yi Bombay, and then the Wakandans were like Yi Bombay. The epic thing is when Black Panther says the chant, everyone in the movie house chanted back. Oh man, it gave me goosebumps. I had to shout back. Black Panther was like Ibombe, Ibombe. The entire movie was like Ibombe, Ibombe. Oh, man, it was so awesome. And then that fight scene, yeah, I think, yeah, in my lifetime, I think no one can top that epicness, in the fight scene of the Avengers, when after Captain America said, Avengers assemble, and then you have this huge fight scene. If anyone can top that epicness of a scene right there, I think it can only be Marvel themselves. So I'm really very excited, where Marvel is going to take this franchise like in the future. So we know that the old pillars, the founding members of the Avengers are already gone. So Captain America's retired. Tony Stark basically gave up his life when he snapped and he said, "I am Iron Man." And then of course, Black Widow had to give up her life so that they can get the Soul Stone back. So, and then Captain America gave to Sam the shield, making him the next Captain America. So yeah, I'm excited to see when they're gonna what they're gonna do with the franchise. So of course, I'm excited to see the upcoming Spider-Man Far From Home, the next MCU movie after this one. Of course, in this movie they didn't put any end credits or mid credits in the middle of the end credits. They typically do that, and I guess it signifies a very nice ending to this Infinity Saga. So I think they're gonna wrap things up. They're gonna show us what comes next in the Homecoming film. I don't think it would be apt to do that here, after all the emotions that we have in the ending. But yeah, it was a very good film, man. So like basically one of the best MCU films I've seen so far. So, but the thing is, your appreciation for this movie really depends on how far you've been following all the MCU movies that came before it. So because the build up was there. So the movie, for example, if you compare standalone Infinity War and Endgame, I think Infinity War would be a bit stronger, because in Infinity War we did not expect where it is going, because like we didn't know that they're gonna be like half of them will be shredded into dust and stuff. But in here in Endgame, we knew that they're gonna win. We knew that one way or the other Thanos was gonna fall, was gonna die. But we're just waiting to see how that's gonna happen. And so the anticipation was already there. We already know what's gonna happen, as opposed to Infinity War, which was a bit bleak, a bit dire, and so on. Yeah, but still, with if you combine like I think if you combine both the Infinity War and Endgame, I think like these guys as a single unit, I think it's the best MCU movie ever made. It's really very cool. And then next would probably, for me personally, I think would be Civil War. And yeah, but yeah, I really had fun, and I'm thinking of watching it again. So the other movie that I'm really excited to watch would still be so this one I'm excited to watch, but actually my most anticipated movie of 2019 is actually Endgame. If you want to believe it, it's not actually Endgame. It's actually the latest, the ninth film of Quentin Tarantino, which is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. Because I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino is actually my favorite director of all time. I've seen all his films. I've rewatched it over and over, and it's really very good. So I'm excited for this. Is my most anticipated movie, but man, that's still Endgame hands down. Marvel is very good. So I may not have read the comics, but I only encountered this personas, these characters in video games. But thank you very much, for bringing these guys to life in the big screen, and it was a very nice lifetime experience. And of course, this is a Postdoc Chronicles. So after actually watching Endgame, I it was a Saturday. I came to my office to check on my simulations. Right now, I'm still running the 5 million events for our background. I'm still trying to improve it. And the other new one that I did last week is we're also generating the background for our Daihig study. So right now, Subadip is a fellow postdoc in France. He's my collaborator for this project. So we're dividing the task into generating different backgrounds. So right now, I'm doing top tier and photons and ZW plus photons, and then we're gonna see how these backgrounds affect our Daihik signature. But anyway, yeah, this has been a long Postdoc Chronicles, but yeah, I just want to share my excitement for the Endgame movie. It was worth it. I probably gonna watch it again, but I'll see you in Postdoc Chronicles week number 47. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.